I was in Miami last night. The Jimmy Butler returned to Miami game against the Heat. People were expecting they were expecting the fireworks. They might have been expecting fisticuffs. They might have been expecting Jimmy to go walk up to Pat Riley and deliver the rock bottom and then the Stone Cold Stunner to Alonzo Mourning. Like, none of that was going to happen. And what wound up happening, Dan, was I looked at the calendar and I was like, wait, the Golden State Warriors have been in Miami since when? After coming from Atlanta? If there's two places that you don't want to be, y'all, on the NBA circuit, when you got games that you have to win, you don't want to be in Atlanta and then going to Miami because, baby, that wasn't the Heat that beat Golden State last night. That was the South Beach / Magic City Flu. That's what that was. But we were expecting like fireworks and everything else. Jimmy got his return video, like tribute video, very short video, mind you. It wasn't that long. And there was no daps, no hugs. The only person he talked to was Kevin Love. He dapped up Alec Burks, but there wasn't a lot of love lost. And I just think both sides were so exhausted of each other because of everything that has happened, basically since the end of last season when Pat Riley told Jimmy Butler to shut up if you're not playing, which started this downward spiral of everything that has led here. Eventually, I think the sides are hopefully going to reconcile. Like years down the line, Jimmy Butler's going to have to get his jersey retired. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame, everything else. But right now, it just looked like both sides were understandably fatigued from each other from the past 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, I think that was the theme of yesterday was fatigue because, as you said, going from Atlanta to Miami, the Warriors didn't even show up. Like they put on their second worst performance in the first half of the season. Can we just do away with these tribute videos? Like, unless it's like actually warranted. Like, it just seemed like weird energy for how much Jimmy coming up to the game was saying like, I don't want to speak to them. I hope Pat don't speak to me.
He said, no. He said, he told Taylor Brooks of TNT, he says, I don't have anything to say to him, and he better not have anything to say to me.
Right.
That sounds like WWE. That sounds like you got the championship belt behind you. That sounds like he walking in with the title belt saying, take it off my cold, dead fingers.
And then he was also saying like, oh, I'm always painted as the bad guy. That just who was that? Who was that wrestling term? The bad guy. Was that Razor Ramon?
Razor Ramon.
Yeah, Razor Ramon.
The late Scott Hall.
Great wrestler. Toothpick. I love that dude. Yes, you're right. But to that, it was like the energy was all off. So why are y'all gonna like devote this video tribute where like there were some cheers, there was some boos, you were in the crowd, so like I know you probably heard the mixed bag of it. It just didn't seem necessary. Like you could do that, as you said, reconcile the relationship. Wait till he's like on his like farewell tour, and then it's like, all right, let's pay homage to the time that you had in Heat. You've been dissing Heat culture kind of over the last year and some change. So like at this point, it just wasn't a good idea. But I digress.
Can we do away with Heat culture?
I'm okay with it because at this point, I think they tried to rally that around. Oh, it's just this tenacity and this grit. That's Heat culture. It's like, no, Jimmy Butler style of play transitioned this into a team that just happened to be very gritty and, honestly, just very tough nailed. But like a lot of those players now are gone. Like you got Tyler Hero as your main star with Bam Adebayo. Like there's no Heat culture there. Like Jimmy Butler created that. And so like to talk about that as like this aura around the Miami Heat organization, like I think it's a detriment to the players that actually created that culture.
Look, for one, when you forced Dwayne Wade to leave out, in 2016 and go to Miami to get his money. Go to Chicago to get his money. When you don't pay him after years of him never being the top paid player on your team, he's never the highest paid player on the team.
Playing through a lot of injuries.
That's when Heat culture dies. You know what Heat culture is? You know what, LeBron? Come to South Beach and come join with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. That's Heat culture. And then it's never about the players. It's supposed to be about the players, in my opinion. This is a players league, and when anytime, whether it's the Patriot way or Heat culture or whatever it is, how that Patriot way looking? Nice you ain't got Tom Brady there. Nice you ain't got like all those dudes there. It's the pencil pushers. It's the coaches, general managers thinking that it's about them. Thinking it's about them that sets the standard. Yeah, you can set the standard, but the standard has to be carried out by players who are legit championship players. And Jimmy Butler, when it's all said and done, or at least to this point, unless they, go acquire someone better, only Dwayne Wade and LeBron James are better Miami Heat players than Jimmy Butler. Like, legit. And
I would say I just throw a dark horse in there, and Udonis Haslem, just because like he was
absolutely not. Whatever. Ain't no dark horse in
leadership matters. He helped. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was the vet. Nobody was messing with like they always gotta have the goon.
He's more beloved.
Sure. All right.
He was more beloved. He took a lot of sacrifices at certain points of his career so that the big three could get together. In the last couple of years, he was.
I think he helped with the cohesion and the connectivity, the chemistry.
Yeah,
and all
he
that.
threatened people. Remember, he told Jimmy, "I'll goon you up during the game."
Hey, you need that though. That's critical.
yeah, but I'm not saying he's better. Like, come on,
he's not better.
You ain't putting the game in Udonis Haslem's hands and saying, "Hey, dog, go carry us to the finals." That's what I'm talking about. So I think for Jimmy Butler, he's been to Chicago, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Miami, and now Golden State. Somehow he's found a way to embody all of the stops that he'd been in. You felt like he was gritty like the Philadelphia team that he was on. You felt like he fit Chicago with how he came up in that Derrick Rose era, coming up under Tibbs and playing all those minutes and everything else. And then you felt like, man, he really fits Miami. And now that he's in Golden State, it feels like, man, he really fits what they do too. The only place that he really didn't seem like he fit was Minnesota. But out of 4 of those 5 stops, you brought up the interesting point about Jimmy and Jimmy saying he's the bad guy. One, Jimmy likes playing into being the bad guy, right? Yeah. He does not mind being the bad guy. The problem with that is, to some degree, Jimmy wants to be able, at some point, I would hope Jimmy would be able to tell his story about why these things have happened in all these different places. And I don't think Jimmy's always wrong. I don't think he's always right, but I don't think he's always wrong in these spots. And it's a saying, I forgot who said it. And maybe I just came up with it myself. I honestly can't remember. But everybody wants to be misunderstood until they want someone to understand. And at some point, you're going to want someone to understand what makes you tick, why you do the things that you do. And hopefully there's the vulnerability and there's the openness for Jimmy to be able to say, okay, this thing makes sense. Like, I was there in Chicago. I know why that relationship went sour. You know what I mein? Like, I can understand why the Minnesota relationship went sour. Philadelphia picked Tobias Harris over him. That really wasn't a Jimmy Butler problem.
Yeah.
And then Miami decided that they weren't going to pay him entering into his 36 and 37, year-old seasons. Some of this stuff seems logical. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is more emotional or prideful.
Yeah. I mean, with the Warriors situation, like, I think I've been paying attention to a lot of what he's been saying since he's been a member of the Warriors, and he's just hyping up Steph Curry. He's the best player. We got to protect him. I'm going to do everything that I can do. If I need to be aggressive here, I'm going to be a passive here and playmaker here. Like, and that's the thing. When Jimmy's happy, like, he's a good teammate to have. It's just a matter of, like, when you're getting to the point of, it's like the breaking point. Like, how many more, if he has a paycheck coming up, or you said something to him to make him feel some type of way, then he'll plan his exit, and that's when he starts doing the antics and being very vocal about his intentions and what he wants. I guess to his detriment, there's not many more years left to do that. Like, I think this might be the final stop for him. And that's okay, because I think when this is all said and done, Jimmy Butler impacted winning in every place that he went. And that's all that really matters in the end of this. Like, Jimmy Butler.
Not only did he impact winning, these other places have not won since he left. Philadelphia has not come close. Like, the closest Philadelphia has come to winning has been when Kawhi Leonard, bounce.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that was, and who tied the game right before that? Jimmy Butler on the end-to-end layup, which would have sent the game into overtime. Maybe they don't win that series anyway because it would have been a game 7 in overtime in Toronto with Kawhi Leonard still being Kawhi Leonard. Who knows? Chicago still reeling from that, from the Jimmy Butler defection, or when they traded Jimmy Butler because they did not want to supermax him out. That decision didn't seem smart then. I was there, and it still looks dumb as hell right now, right? Minnesota, they rebounded to some degree, but Minnesota's in the play-in.
They got Anthony Edwards to do that.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
If you're looking right after he left Minnesota, they were regular.
Right. And now you got Miami, who's like 6-15 or 6-17 since they've traded them. The one thing I will say, you brought the Steph Curry point. I was in Chicago with Jimmy the year that Dwayne Wade was there. And Jimmy treated Dwayne with so much reverence, even though Dwayne Wade was clearly on the back end of his career. And there was a respect that he had for him because here's a guy who's done it. He's better than me. He's historically more accomplished than me. That's how I believe Jimmy looks at Steph Curry to some degree, on a different level because Jimmy's more accomplished and Steph is more of a made man and everything else. And Steph is better at this point than Dwayne was at that point.
Sure.
But the respect level that he has for not just Steph, but also Steve Kerr as a coach and Draymond Green as another hard ass on that team. Like he's not trying to battle with Stephen Curry or Draymond Green. He's trying to get to where they are. Like he was trying to get to where Dwayne Wade was in terms of stature across the league. That's why I think whatever could happen, as far as the best of whatever could happen, it doesn't mean they're going to get to the finals, Dan. I just feel like you're going to get the best out of what he has left at this stage of his career and where his body can give you.